Hi, I'm Anne Pollard, and this is the reading of my book, Cleo's Fabulous Adventures, The Realm of the Woods, Chapter 24, Varuna the Vulture. Bacchus nodded to Cleo and Zuriel to follow. As he walked away from the unicorn realm, he said, Cleo, we are almost done with our adventure of discovery, but we have a few more friends and teachers to meet. Then he turned to follow the new path as it unfolded. From the depths of nothingness, they began to see more signs of life. A stream appeared beside them that grew in width and depth as they proceeded. Some trees became visible as they entered an area with both wooded vegetation and grasslands. It was open and airy. They began to hear the familiar sounds of birds, squirrels, rabbits, and chipmunks. The animal population was flourishing before them. Cleo still wore a huge smile from her ride with Zuriel, and she was still immersed in the joy she felt. As she walked with Bacchus and Zuriel, she asked, Zuriel, is there an angelic realm as well? I saw the fairies and dragons, but we didn't see any angelic realm. Zuriel nodded. Oh yes, he said. There's a beautiful angelic realm as well. I think you know, Cleo, that angels can be everywhere at once, so we can support and comfort all that need us. But we always have a presence in the realm, and all of the angels are there, as well as the ascended masters. Wow, said Cleo. I would love to see that someday. I can imagine that it is amazingly beautiful. How many angels are there? Zuriel laughed. So many that you cannot count that high, Cleo. And there are so many different kinds. You heard something about the archangels from Michael, and there are a lot of them. And then, of course, you know about the guardian angels now. But there are also lots of helper angels. There are joy guides, runner angels, healer angels, teacher angels, and SOS angels. And of course, angels can come in the form of animal guides too. I will teach you about all of the angels that you can call on for assistance when you need them. They are here for you all the time, and if you ask, they will come. Oh my gosh, said Cleo, I had no idea. And what about the Ascended Masters that you mentioned? Who are they? Ah, the Ascended Masters, said Zuriel. They are very special. You're probably familiar with some of the names, and others you may not have heard of. They were incarnate on Earth at one time and were spiritually enlightened beings. They came to show people what their potential is, the potential for all humans, as a guide and an example. You will know some of them like Jesus, Buddha, Isis, Mother Mary, and Lao Tse, but there are so many more. And you can call on them for guidance just like you would an angel. Oh yes, said Cleo, I have heard of some of them. Zuriel, I want you to help me explore everything about the angels and ascended masters. Would you do that with me? Of course, Cleo, said Zuriel. I am always here to assist you. They had continued walking as they talked, and were now standing beside a roaring river. The landscape around them was fully grown in, and the colors and smells were wonderful. Bacchus had enjoyed listening to their conversation and was pleased to hear Cleo's interest in other realms. She's now even awakening to her galactic heritage and other universal realms, he thought, and then he smiled. Up ahead, next to a small bush on the edge of the clearing, Cleo saw a form lying on the ground. From where she was, she could see it was fairly large and had fur. She looked to Bacchus. Bacchus, what is that over there on the ground? Is that our next animal friend taking a nap? Bacchus shook his head slowly. No, Cleo, I'm afraid that it is not. Come, let's take a closer look. They all walked toward the furry form on the ground. As they approached, it did not move at all. No breathing, no sounds. Oh, Bacchus, Cleo exclaimed. It's a wolf. Is it dead? She asked. Yes, Cleo, our friend the wolf is dead. Cleo looked at the dead wolf. He was completely peaceful, with no marks of injury that she could see. He looked as though he had just laid down for a quick nap. Oh, Bacchus, that's so sad. The poor thing, said Cleo. Yes, it's always sad when we lose a loved one. Perhaps we can have Azrael help its soul transition to all that is. Azrael nodded and said a prayer over the wolf. Ariel will be with him and help his soul ascend, said Azrael. Remember, she is the watcher over all beings in this natural world. Cleo began to cry. What a stark difference in emotions from when she was with Zuriel to finding a dead wolf. Thank you, Azrael, she said. Death is such a horrible thing to have to go through. Yes, said Bacchus, death evokes very strong emotions in humans. And some of that is because a lot of humans believe that death is the end. It is the end for the body. Being separated physically from ones that you love is very emotional. But Cleo, now you know that the spirit can never die. It is eternal. The body is dead, but the life spirit still exists and will always exist. So this wolf spirit will now ascend to all that is and soon decide what next form it wants to take. It's gone back to the light we saw when we started our adventure. Perhaps that will help you see this as a transition and birth into another life. Yes, I can see that, said Cleo, but it's still sad. Before Bacchus could answer further, they saw a great bird flying toward them. As it got closer, Cleo could see the immense size of this beautiful bird in flight. His wingspan was at least 6 feet, and he glided through the air with grace and ease. He was completely silent. Wow, said Cleo, that bird is so beautiful. The vulture flew closer and was now more easily seen. Then he flew down to the ground and settled next to Bacchus. As Cleo could now see this giant bird up close, she cringed. Oh my gosh, it's so ugly, she thought. Ooh. Bacchus looked at the vulture and said, Hello, Varuna. Thank you for coming to meet us. Varuna nodded his bald head. He could not speak, but made raspy, hissing sounds. His communication was telepathic, since vultures don't have a voice box. Greetings, Bacchus, he thought. I am pleased to see you all. And hello, Cleo. To her amazement, Cleo could hear the vulture. She nodded toward him and said, Hello, Varuna. He was an extremely large bird. The feathers that covered his body were black, with some white on the underside of his wings. His head was bald, which gave him an eerie look and feel, and the skin on his head was wrinkled and bumpy. He had big brown eyes and a very long beak that curved down to a sharp point at the end. His legs were bare of feathers and instead were spindly looking with large claws at the end. Cleo cringed again as she saw Varuna up close. Cleo, Varuna thought, I know you think I'm beautiful in the air but ugly up close. Don't worry. Like Sachel, we're used to that human reaction and we're not bothered by it. It's part of your ego that makes judgments on things and likes to do comparisons. I am neither ugly nor beautiful. I just am. It's your emotion and belief system that categorizes me as ugly. And part of that belief system helps you believe that what we vultures do is gross, eating dead animals. We get that too. There are so many beliefs in your world about death. Cleo was still stunned that she could hear Varuna, but also saddened that her reaction to him was so negative. She remembered Sachel and the lessons she thought she had learned about judgment. Well, she thought, I guess I still have some work to do. It's okay, Cleo, thought Varuna. Remember that you're on a learning journey, and sometimes it takes years to learn something. And that's also okay. You will eventually find the gifts in knowing me. You see, vultures are a necessary part of the whole ecosystem. Yes, we clean up dead animals, and that's so they don't contaminate other things. We're graced with so many unique things in order to fulfill our purpose. You think my bald head is weird and ugly, but do you know why my head is bald when other birds have feathered heads? No, I guess I don't, said Cleo. Well, it's so that the bits of carrion, the dead animal, don't get caught in my feathers. If I had feathers all over my head, it would be a real mess trying to get cleaned up after doing my work. It may sound gross to you, but we are specifically engineered to carry out our purpose. We can eat rotted meat that would be toxic to any other animals. Just like Michael has that special DNA that makes him immune to cobra venom, vultures have special bacteria on our skin and in our intestines that allow us to digest dead flesh. This bacteria is extremely toxic to other animals, but not to us, so we can digest what other animals cannot. We do a great service to your world using the gifts built into our bodies from all that is. And we can smell dead animals over a mile away. Death is inevitable, so we just help with taking care of it. And there is great beauty in that. Yes, I can see that, said Cleo. Actually, you really are amazing in what you do. I'm sorry I was not more understanding. Thank you, thought Varuna. I appreciate your sincere desire to overcome your feelings about vultures. We are part of the circle of life, Cleo. Just like the roaring river beside us, water sustains all life. It's sacred and should be treated as such. And just as water nourishes all life, the vultures ensure that death is also treated with reverence and respect. We seek out the opportunities to transform death, much like you can seek out opportunities to transform yourself. Just as we look at opportunities from 10,000 feet, you can do the same thing for your life. Remember what Haniel said, take the higher perspective and learn to see beauty where others cannot. You have a new awareness that most of the other humans don't have, Cleo. Release yourself to the winds of change and fly with us. Bacchus looked at Varuna and said, Thank you, Varuna, for your insights and what you do for nature. You're very important and we appreciate you. And we're blessed that you will take care of Wolf, as you do so respectfully for all dead animals. Thank you, Bacchus, thought Varuna. Then Varuna turned back to Cleo. Remember, Cleo, we are all here for you always, in every moment. You only need to ask for our help, and we will be there. And now, I must get to my work. Cleo thanked Varuna for his wisdom and contribution as she and Bacchus turned to leave Wolf. Azrael said a final blessing for Wolf and Varuna before following them. As they left, the other vultures came to join Varuna in his sacred work. Thank you for joining me. Have a fabulous day.